looks than swift.
Well, 3 meetings and 3 thumping wins for New Zealand over Afghanistan in one-day cricket. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. I'm joined in studio by Shane Bond and Deep Dasgupta. Guys, I think you said 80 runs and 30 runs and it's ended up being 150 runs. So a really, really big win for New Zealand. Shane, you must be thrilled.
Yeah, it's just a continuation on of their great form. New Zealand, I think, we talked about their discipline, professionalism, and that's what we saw from them again today. And I think in hindsight, it was a great toss for New Zealand to lose. Afghanistan really made a poor call at the toss, and it's come back to bite them. Yeah,
and Deep, was it what you expected or much more than you expected?
Much less than what I was expecting. I was expecting some kind of a fight from the Afghanistan batters, but obviously not. And we did mention that the first 10 overs going to be crucial. The top order needed runs out of Gurbaz and Zadran. That didn't happen, and obviously the middle orders and middle order batters didn't fire either.
Yeah, let's just take a look so we can remind ourselves of how this match played out. So New Zealand, they were put into bat. They scored 288. Glenn Phillips and Tom Latham with that big partnership down for the 6th wicket. And then Afghanistan really didn't have much to offer in reply. Wickets all round. Lockie Ferguson with 3 for 19. Mitchell Santner 3 for 39. Shane, Mitchell Santner now joins Matt Henry as the leading wicket taker in the tournament so far. 9 wickets for the both of them. I mean, did you see that balance playing out, that the two of them would be dominating at this, what would we call it, we're a third of the way through?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Henry's a wicket taker at the top, and then we talked about Santner. When there's something in the wicket, he becomes a handful, and that he bowled Nabi with tonight was an illustration. He's got the ability then to knock over good players with good balls, and New Zealand have got 4 world-class bowlers, I think, in their lineup. The 5th bowler, and that's probably a lot for a lot of the teams, is a little bit of a struggle, but when those 4 bowlers click, it makes New Zealand a pretty dangerous lineup.
And then tonight they used Glenn Phillips a bit. We just can't keep him away from the action, can we?
Yeah, I'm surprised he would have been knackered after running around the outfield and batting for so long, but he's got so much energy, and they'll need that, and they need probably a little bit more consistency out of Ravindra, because if New Zealand don't get those top order wickets, which is going to happen in a game, then that 5th bowler can travel the distance. So yeah, he'll be still looking for an improved performance on a wicket that was offering turn tonight.
If we look at the Afghan start, Deep, we spoke about, and I feel almost sorry for Rahmanullah Gurbaz, because we always say he should be the one scoring the runs. Got a really good ball. What could he do?
You really can't do much, because we spoke about Matt Henry, the test ball line and length, and what happens if you're not playing enough of red ball cricket, it's difficult to then handle bowlers like Matt Henry, because obviously, I mean, ideally speaking, if I have to be really critical, the foot did not go anywhere, played from the crease. Ideally speaking, if you have that experience of red ball cricket and you've got someone like Matt Henry bowling that line and length, you would be a little more careful, and you would be backed by your skills as well. But to be honest, what a fantastic delivery.
Yeah, and then Zadran, his opening partner, I just blanked there for a second. We've actually been quite critical of him, even though he's a young player. He's not kicking on. Poor choice of shot again today. An easy catch in the end off a kind of a leading edge. What can he do now?
See, the idea is somebody needs to tell him it's all right, you can take your time. I think point that Bondi made before as well, that this is 50 overs, it's not 20 overs. It's all right to get a slowish start. If you look at this whole tournament, it's not that most of the teams, they're getting to that mid-40s or early 50s in the first 10. So it's not that you're looking to get 60, 65 in the first 10. And 40, 45 with 2 fielders outside the circle, all you need to do is couple of boundaries, time it, hit it in the gap, and you get those 3, 4 or maybe 5 boundaries in the first 10 odd overs as an individual. So I think that's something that he needs to work out, find the right tempo, because, I mean, to be fair, they play a lot of T20 cricket. So and coming from T20 to ODIs, there are these subtle changes in your mindset, in your tempo, and I think that's what needs to happen with him, is just to calm down. It's all right. We're only looking at 45, maybe 45, 50 for 1. That's a good score in the first 10. And that's how you need to approach.
And wouldn't Jonathan Trott be the man to be passing those lessons on? I mean, it would have almost been his template of batting.
I think you've still got to go through, I mean, as a young player, and you're coming up against quality opposition day in, day out. I mean, you look at the top 10 bowling rankings, and Afghanistan have 3 bowlers in there, probably play a lot of their cricket against lesser opposition. So all of a sudden, you're coming up against consistently the best bowling attacks and the best bowlers in the world with new balls. it's just going to take him time. And we talked about that continuity. Afghanistan just have to persist and give him a long run, because it might be at the next World Cup that they reap the real benefits of this player.
So maybe they'll have to wait a little while, I suppose, before they're seeing the best out of him. But he is quite young, so we must be careful not to be too critical of him. Then I've got to ask about that Mitchell Santner catch, because Afghanistan dropped, what was it, 6 in the end, and Mitchell Santner gets this one opportunity, backpedals, sticks one arm out. I mean, what's going on there? What did you think?
Well, I think New Zealand, again, apart from probably Tom Latham's miss again, the outfield catching was, they took all the chances, and then you see the result of the score. Mitch Santner is just one of those guys, whatever he does, he's unbelievable at. He's a scratch golfer, can pick up a table tennis racket, play like a gun, and then he just, he's got a very casual manner about him, but he just made it look so easy. Just plucked the hand out, casually threw the ball, no problem.
For you, when you saw that, what did you think the Afghans must have been thinking?
They've dropped the game, I guess. I mean, if you look at the 4 major contributors with the bat, all 4 of them gave a chance very early in their innings, and obviously they were dropped. And again, we spoke about this. These were regulation catches. These weren't like tough ones, nowhere near what Santner took. So yeah, I mean, they would be kicking themselves for those dropped chances more than anything else.
And that kind of wicket, I suppose, can just further deflate a side that's 28 for 2 in the power play, that knows the middle order is a little bit shaky, and then that has to face Lockie Ferguson. So he came into the tournament with a niggle. Do you think he's building up and kind of ramping up the pace?
Yeah, key player for New Zealand, because he just offers that point of difference, a player who can come in and bowl 145 plus. And with the regulations in one-day cricket now, with 4 fielders out, like Deep talked about, you can get through the power play with 45, and the scoring rate can just accelerate so fast. So to have someone who can come bowl quick, take wickets through the middle, everyone's looking for that sort of bowl, and Lockie's done that for a long time, and again, really effective again today.
I think you said that the selection discussion was between Henry and Southee. If it shifts to between Southee and Lockie Ferguson, would you still go with Ferguson?
I don't think Tim will play unless there's an injury to one of those opening bowlers. I think, and you look at the way England use Mark Wood, Rabada's been bowling first change for South Africa. It's like we need a bowler to come in outside that power play and have an impact. And those sort of bowlers with that extra pace, they can break the game open.
Now, Deep, you've also watched Lockie in the first couple of games. Have you seen any kind of uplifting of the game or the speeds or anything like that?
I think he's still bowling within himself, and which is fair enough. He's just coming off an injury. So, I think he's just building himself up. It's got, 6 more games to go after this, and the knockouts and whatever. So I think he's building himself up, which is good, which is, you're not pushing yourself too hard, too early. And he will tell you, I mean, if you have that, and it's also a psychological battle. You need a few games under your belt to feel good about your injury, about your body. And I think he's going through that process, and while he's doing it, he's doing a great job for his team.
Yeah, and he's pretty fortunate because he comes on after a Trent Boult has bowled, and I think tonight Trent Boult we saw exceptional, finding some swing up front. We looked at the wicket takers list. He's down with 5 wickets, so he's quite far down the list, but he makes a big impact.
The psychological impact, he's the bowler that everyone worries about from an opposition point of view, and that's why Matt Henry's so effective at the other end. There's such a great combination. So yeah, I think Ferguson's building into the tournament. They'll go to Dharamshala. There's going to be a massive crowd with India, and those sort of boosts of adrenaline can take a 145 bowler to a 150 plus bowler, and I'd expect to see him bowl real fast in the next game.
Yeah, so Lockie Ferguson ramping it up. You have to say that, right? Because he's playing India. So now this is like a warning. I think he's going to bowl really fast. And then let's just talk about that 5th bowler, which was made up of the Glenn Phillips and Rachin Ravindra. You touched on it earlier. Is that the combination you see them going with? Is there someone else who can maybe step in?
Daryl Mitchell, I haven't seen him bowl in a while. Is he all right?
Yeah, he's fine. It's one of those ones in these sort of conditions. I think they just want to use the spinners. Mark Chapman bowls half-decent left-arm spin. So New Zealand, who have traditionally had the medium pace backup bowlers, for once all of a sudden have come to India and they've got 3 or 4 spin bowling options. Michael Bracewell's injured, which is a real shame for New Zealand. So we've got depth in that area. I think Mitchell's a last resort, to be fair. And as I said, the discussion really was about, would a Jimmy Neesham play perhaps instead of a Will Young or a Mark Chapman to give them another seam bowling option if they wanted it?
Yes, it's all good problems for New Zealand.
Good problems for New Zealand, yeah.
Problems of plenty, I suppose we would call it. But for Afghanistan, do you think something happened between that high of the England win, and I suppose there will be a come down, and now you're facing another very strong side? Their batting has probably looked the worst in the tournament today.
Yes, I mean, the batting was exposed against quality fast bowling and spin as well. And I think, and as Bonnie mentioned, the toss, the way you won the last game was bat first, right? On whatever surface it is, bat first, put up a total, 250, 280, whatever it is, and back your bowlers, because end of the day, that's how I see it. What are your strengths? If your strength is bowling, you defend. If your strength is batting, you chase. And when I look at this team, I'm thinking, well, my strength is bowling. 3 world-class spinners. That's 30 overs straight there. Farooqi is good. Naveen-ul-Haq is good. So I look at that side and say that's my strength there. And I'd rather defend than chase, where the middle order, the question marks there, top order is miss and hit. So yeah, I'd rather bat first. Whatever total I put up, I back my bowlers.
So they made a mistake at the toss, essentially.
Massive mistake. And even you look at T20 and the Dutch winning, they beat South Africa in T20. The pressure, the expectation is New Zealand should win. Now, if they're chasing and get under pressure, it just ramps up. So I agree with Deep. They should have won the toss. Chennai, it was a dry wicket. Yeah. The dew, I mean, you think about it from a T20 perspective, but it's going to come in the last hour. So you've got to use the conditions to the best, and I thought they missed a trick.
Yeah, not too many positives, but if I can mention one, and I realise I'm kind of clutching at straws here, it's maybe Rahmat Shah's innings. He scored 36. It's his highest score of the tournament. I mean, can they take something from that?
Yes and no. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it's always good that one of your main batters have got some runs, but end of it all, if they had reached, say, 250 or 230, they would have still found some positives out of this, but that's a poor show. 139, that's a poor show. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything positive as far as batting is concerned.
Okay, I tried. I did my best. And they lost 18 for 5 for 18. They definitely didn't lose 18. That would be impossible. Yeah. But 5 for 18, I mean, it's just not good.
No, I think in the end, when you look at Mujib coming in at 9 and the quality of the New Zealand bowlers, you knew it could castle over pretty quickly, and it did. And particularly on a wicket that's offering a little bit of slowness and some turn, it's never easy to come and start, particularly against quality bowling. And what happened at the end isn't really entirely unexpected.
No,
and that's the advantage of having someone like a Lockie Ferguson who can bowl at 150, right? Especially when you're looking at middle order, low middle order. I mean, let me tell you, 145, anything above around 145, 145 plus, nobody likes it, nobody.
Yeah, and now I just want to kind of round off the match discussion with a conversation about someone who reached a milestone. It's Mitchell Santner's 100th ODI wicket was achieved today. So we know we've spoken about the catch and kind of what a champion performer he is, can bat, offers a lot with the ball. How do you sum him up this tournament, Shane? I mean, I know it's not far in, but...
Yeah, I think New Zealand have had so many good performers through the tournament. That's why they're at the top of the table, but no one really stands out. That's probably the way New Zealand operate. You know, Williamson's the standout player, and Bolt's generally the standout bowler, but everyone are contributors in that team, and Mitch just goes about his work quietly, is an improving cricketer with both bat and ball in hand, and as I said before, he's such an important cog in the wheel for New Zealand because of the job he does through the middle. So that consistent performance that he's put up again today, it's just what you expect from him now. He's a world-class player.
And would he have enjoyed it a bit more doing it in Chennai? The crowd wasn't huge, but they seemed to grow in numbers as it cooled off a little bit.
I think he'll be disappointed he went for the runs that he did. Like, he got 3 wickets, but he went at nearly 6 and over. So for him, who generally sits around 4 runs and over on a turning wicket, he'll probably be a little bit grumpy at that. But it's like as a player, those 100 wickets and those little milestones are really nice things to tick off, and he'll be really pleased with that.
Yeah, and now we can, I guess, look at the broader context in terms of the points table and where everything lies. So if we take a look at that points table, we see New Zealand are sitting right on top. Of course, they've played 1 more game than the chasing teams, Afghanistan there in second last place. But the number I think we want to concentrate on, Shane, is net run rate, a positive 1.9. What could that mean for them?
I think it's like the IPL, it's like another win. Because the teams below them, when you look at a team like Australia, you'll have to win. New Zealand can almost afford a big loss now. So that is like an extra win. New Zealand, like 2019 World Cup, have had quite a nice draw. They've played probably some of the lesser teams early, so they've got a break from the field. And now combined with that net run rate, it puts a lot of pressure on the team, especially the way India are playing. So you feel like when you look at that, there's perhaps 3, maybe 4 teams playing for 2 spots, which adds a lot of pressure.
And has it changed what you think the top 4 could look like?
Well, my original top 4 was New Zealand, India, England and Pakistan. I think South Africa have been impressive. I still think they'll be a chance, and I think that'll probably come at the expense of Pakistan if it does.
And then Deep, we saw India right behind New Zealand. Of course, they've got that game in hand.
Yeah.
It sets it up really nicely for Dharamshala.
Yeah, but India's got to play a game before that.
That's right. We're just eliminating some games.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, it seems right now these are the two teams to beat, New Zealand and India. And obviously with those two upsets, England and the South Africa games, I think it's opened up a few opportunities for the other sides as well. So I think that makes it that much more interesting. Now suddenly you see, okay, maybe let's say New Zealand and India, but what about 3 and 4? So I think that's opened up a few spaces there, and that's what. And listen, it's just round 3. We started in round 4. So we've got another 5 rounds to go after this. So it's not even halfway through.
Yeah, and then what about Afghanistan? Because they stay in Chennai. They play their next game there against Pakistan.
Yeah.
They now know a little bit about the conditions. As you say, they have to bat first if given the opportunity. What else can they do in the next few days?
I think just try and forget this game, to be honest. I mean, it's difficult, and especially for a batting unit to forget this performance, but they would have to, because this can kind of sap the energy, the confidence out of you, the way they batted, and also the fielding thing didn't help either. So I think what they really need to do is just focus whatever positives they can take out of this game and try and forget the whole thing, the rest of it, because Pakistan, Afghanistan game and a pitch like this where it offers a little bit of spin can be very, very interesting. And honestly, if Afghanistan do beat Pakistan on a surface like this, I wouldn't really consider it as an upset.
Okay, so that's an interesting one. I heard you talk about the energy sappingness of a loss, but Shane, we saw it looked quite energy sapping out there. If we just talk about conditions, Trent Boult was calling for water. I think he wanted a change of shirt at one point. You've been in India a lot. What would it have been like being out there through the day today?
Oh, it's exhausting. Like it is exhausting. New Zealand will be happy they got off the field 10 overs early. You know, all those little things matter. So, and that was one of the blessings of batting first in that heat. The Afghanistan have cooked in that heat for 3 hours, and it does have an effect when you then have to chase a big total, because it's not easy then come out and have to run between the wickets if you're going to win. So, yeah, I agree with Deep. I think they can beat Pakistan. They've got some sickness in their camp, I think. So if there's ever was a time that they could tip them over, it would be the next game in those conditions.
And that game is going to be on Monday, so there's a little bit of time for them to think about things. Just to wrap up this game, we've had a couple of very exciting games in the last few days and some upsets, and I suppose a little bit of a come down today. Are you overall quite disappointed with the result, or did you expect this is what we'd get?
I'd say disappointed. I was, as a neutral, looking at any game. You want it to be close, you want it to be exciting, but yeah, it wasn't. I mean, Afghanistan, for whatever reason, looked quite flat apart from the first 10 odd overs. It looked flat in terms of, you know, fielding and then batting. I'm sure they would be disappointed as well with that performance.
Yeah, difficult and tough to swallow, but elated if you're New Zealand, aren't you? It's the perfect start.
It was a potential banana skin game on these conditions. If Afghanistan had won the toss and batted, it could have been different. And I think it's great. You look at the table and go, wow, New Zealand going awesome, but they play India and Australia, who they struggle against. So, you know, 4 and 4 could be 4 and all of a sudden 2 losses, and it changes the whole complexion. So New Zealand will be going 2 more wins. Will probably lock in a semi-final spot, but you just can't get too far ahead of yourself because there's some very good teams
and
they've got left to play.
See you before the weekend, so I've got to get this one in before we go, because how much is this performance going to rub off on the All Blacks, who are going to be playing Argentina in that Rugby World Cup semi-final? Steve's just heard rugby all the time.
That's again, New Zealand, that in rugby they're going to play. They're playing like an Afghanistan team who, outside of one loss, I think they've always beaten. So you're expecting New Zealand to win. So. It's a good time to be a New Zealand supporter in any format.
I want people to remember that New Zealand, Argentina and rugby is like New Zealand, Afghanistan and cricket. I mean, that's the mic drop from our show tonight.
Right.
It's going to be a fantastic weekend, of course, with lots of rugby, lots of cricket action. You can't catch the rugby, but you can catch the cricket if you download the ESPN Crick Info app. That will be the place to get all the news, the scores, the views, and the analysis. And if you read anything by me, there will definitely be a mention of that Rugby World Cup as well. I mean, we got to bring everything together. This is the kind of sporting and cultural landscape that we're in. But also, don't forget that tomorrow, as I nearly forgot, but was reminded by Deep, there is a big game. It is India against Bangladesh. And you can join the live show. Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, and they'll be joining you from 1:15 p.m. IST. So please do join and catch the action from that show. And thanks for joining us for this game. We'll be back with more soon.
Stunning looks, then swift.